Buckle up, sports fanatics. This is the Sports Chasers Podcast, your HQ for in-depth sports talk. Join host Kevin L. Warren and crew as they dissect the hottest stories, ignite debates, and bring you closer to the action. From locker room whispers to expert takes, we cover it all. It's game time, so strap in and grab a drink. The Sports Chasers Podcast starts right now.
Hey, good evening, everybody. What's going on, everybody? It's another edition of the Sports Chasers Podcast coming to you live and direct, man. And yes, as y'all can see, I brought the show on the road. Hey, we got a lot to get into, man. But before we do that, make sure you like, click, and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you also hit the bells for all the notifications. And for those that's hearing this on the podcast side, y'all do what? Y'all give us that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Y'all can't see me. That 5-star review. Hey, a lot to get into. Hey, March Madness has started. Hey, hopefully you filled out your brackets. The Sports Chasers, we did our brackets, man. So we'll be showing you how we all been done with the brackets with the men as well as the ladies. This is the first time I've ever filled out a ladies bracket. So we're gonna go back and forth with that, man. But hey, we're gonna meet one of the crew. We got the DA tonight. DA, what's up? Sporting his old school Atlanta Hawks hat.
What's going on, man? It's good to see change. I love change and anarchy and changing to the Garden basketball. I'm just seeing things that I never thought I'd see, but I forgot that boy Wagner's playing for Arkansas, and he's a stone cold bucket.
And he's talking about Milt Wagner's grandson. For all your old heads out there, y'all know who Milt Wagner was.
Louisville.
Point guards.
Yeah, Louisville in the 80s. It was good. They almost had North Carolina that first year, but For sure. Shout out to all those in the comments. Thank y'all for chiming in. Thank you, Debbie, all those that are on YouTube, for Twitch, Facebook. I'll be on Instagram here in a second, man. But we'll make it do what it do, man. Rest of the crew will be meeting us shortly. Ryan should be on here shortly, and D-Dubs probably be in the comments, man. But man, we're gonna get to the news. What has happened in the news, and I don't know what's gonna make DA more upset. Let me start with this one, and this has something to do with college basketball. Here, let me go to this article from the West Virginia Mountaineer, SI. And this was on here March 18th, 2 days ago, from Shover Callahan of SI. And it reads as such. Let me read this. The NCAA Tournament Selection Committee approved on Sunday night that they have no idea what they're doing. Or maybe they do, and perhaps they're just not acting with integrity. That's the biggest takeaway from Selection Sunday, considering the committee chair, Bubba Cunningham, is also the athletic director. Bubba, you know something wrong with it, man. Bubba can't have no job.
Let me repeat this again. Bubba Cunningham is also the athletic director at North Carolina, the school that took the final spot in the NCAA tournament over West Virginia. Instead of coming into Selection Sunday show with actual reason for West Virginia's exclusion, Cunningham tried his best to skirt around the question before eventually blaming it on the injury of Tucker DeVries, who has been out since December 6th. So it looks like they're trying to interject the Florida State rule. Let me read on Dio.
See, that's stupid, right? So the ACC don't like it when it happened to Florida State, but they with it now. So that's dog. I swear to you, Kevin, they don't think that we can read. They don't think that we can hear. They think that we're just plain old stupid, because they keep floating BS to us, and we're like, dude, that doesn't work. But they just do it anyway because they don't care, because we can't change, and the nuts are still going to turn the TV on to watch it anyway. So like North Carolina is going to be a Cinderella team, right? Get out of here.
Let me read on here. When I saw this, when D-Dub sent this to me the other day, I was like, wow, we just openly blatant with it. So let me read on here. How in the world is this an argument against the team? If anything, it should be in the reason why the Mountaineers are deserving of a spot in the field. They played nearly 80% of their season without DeVries and still managed to win more quad one games than North Carolina did with a healthy roster over the entirety of the season. Exactly. Carolina's best win, UCLA, who was 7th seed in the NCAA tournament. West Virginia took down Gonzaga, Arizona, Kansas, and Iowa State. And not to mention the wins over Kansas and Iowa State occurred without DeVries in uniform. Winning at Fog Allen Fieldhouse alone is a bigger accomplishment than anything North Carolina has did all season.
Yep.
What's the Carolina done to deserve a spot on the 1-8? They won 8 of their last 10. Cool. Who did they play?
Davis.
Well, let's see. They beat Syracuse, North Carolina State, Virginia, Florida State, Miami, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, and Wake Forest. These teams combined to have a record of 114 and 142.
Yep.
6 of those 8 teams had a losing record. Their 2 losses in the stretch came to Duke, the second of which happened without Cooper Flagg. Hold on. In West Virginia's last 10 games, they played 1 team with a losing record and lost, but also played 4 games against tournament teams.
Yep.
You like to think that West Virginia's 4 signature wins would be enough to make up their losses to Colorado and Arizona State. How can the Tar Heels make up for their bad losses to Pitt and Stanford with just 1 key win, which, by the way, took place on a neutral court? I'm not going to read anymore.
Yeah,
that should be enough. That should be enough evidence right there.
It goes back to what we talk about. So.
You are dead wrong for this. I believe there's some kind of incentive he got also for this, or the school gets. And so I didn't understand at first when the governor of West Virginia. I don't like when the politicians get involved with sports like that, but I get it. He's a fan, and he wants his team, the state-ran school, to get in the team, because what does that mean? More revenue for the school.
Yeah, and he might have went there. You never know.
Right, alumni. I don't know with the governor, but he was spot on in saying, how can anybody who's really watched college basketball this year think that North Carolina is a tournament team? Yeah, they're an NIT tournament team. Yeah, put them in there.
So
go ahead.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
Because I wanted to say this last week, but you know how folks kind of get bent out of shape when players, they don't participate in a bowl game, they don't do this, they don't do that, right?
Right.
But when you got a college D1 basketball team, and there's 68 chances to get to the tournament, right? 68 teams, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
For every, right? And you don't make
68.
it. And you don't make it. And then they offer you with something that, Kevin, we're in our 50s. We've been watching since we were kids. I remember when the NIT was as big as the NCAA tournament.
The NIT was a big deal. Yes.
Now you got a situation where this is what's offered to you because you only won 15 games. And now you're telling your sport that you're a member of. Now, we're not going to that. We ain't.
Yeah, I'm good.
We too good for that.
I'm good. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, so when is somebody going to crack down on them, or should there be a fine from someone saying, this is where we get mad at commissioners, but Kev, I think there could be use for at least a czar. I'm not going to say a full NCAA basketball commissioner, but there would be no turning down the NIT. Because you're hurting the money of the NIT and whatever other schools are there that may deserve to be there, right? You can't. If you're not hurt, if you're hurt and you ain't got players playing and blah blah blah, fine. But you're just not going to be 15 and 18 and not have a winning record. And then someone says, well, you guys are the last 4 out, so you could go to the NIT. And North Carolina's telling like, we're too good for that. Like Michael Jordan ain't walking through that door, homie. Phil Ford, the Sam Perkins, Kenny Smith. Them dudes ain't walking through that door, man. This is a team you got this year. You go to the NIT, you work on some things that you get right for next year. That's kind of what I see it being, but that's not, I don't know. I'm not sure what we're doing here.
Well, let me read this next article here about the NIT, as you were saying, and this is from Daily Beast, and this is from Keneal Patterson. And this was only yesterday. It's in a sudden take back Sunday, the National Invitation Tournament, NITs, rescinded the South Alabama Jaguars invitation only hours after it invited the team to join the annual tournament, the National Collegiate, the NCAA. Right. Dan Gavitt, the senior vice president of basketball, called the men's team Sunday night to extend the exciting invite. They will offer the rare opportunity after previously invited team UC Riverside committed to play in a less prestigious tournament. Thinking that UC Riverside backed out, the NCAA needed to quickly find another crew to fill the empty spot. So he told Jaguars coach Rich Riley congratulations and that his team made it in. Riley immediately told his players, but only a few hours later, Gavitt called back with bad news. UC Riverside has managed to get out of their original obligation or were committed to playing to the NIT after all. Riley said that the mix-up was unacceptable and unfair and had to tell all his players the next morning that their season was actually officially over. Gavitt apologized through the NIT. So
no one wants to hear that.
Back to your original statement, right? See, the schools are doing what? How do you make that mistake?
You got a whole staff. You got a whole staff. I'm not sure how you don't know what you're doing, right? I'm not really not sure, B. I'm really not sure. It ain't gonna get no better though. It's just gonna get worse. So, ain't gonna get no better because you could already see they start with this. We'll just say whatever. They're not gonna. No one's gonna be bad. No one's gonna know.
Nobody's gonna be mad, right?
Because it's still there on the television. You're like
NCAA.
Okay. They're still spending the money, Kev.
Yeah. They're still spending the money. You're absolutely positively right. So in that same vein, let me go to Nevada, NCAA. And this was this past weekend. We wasn't on Monday, and I wanted to hold on to this article right here because I thought it really meant something here. And this is from Chris Murray of NSN Nevada Sportsnet, and he says this. Remember all the stories that I read, the links will be in all the description on the podcast side and on the YouTube side as well. After Nevada's loss to Colorado State at the Mountain West Tournament on Thursday night, Wolfpack head coach Steve Alford made it clear he's not ready to retire. The bit of the news was reported earlier this week by college basketball insider Jeff Goodman, who said there was speculation Alford might step down. I asked him where all that came from, Alford said of Goodman. But we're in the social media world and a lot of podcasts and stuff going on. I haven't told anybody that I had plans of retiring. That said, the 60-year-old Alfred also made it clear that he's not happy with how college basketball is being run these days. With name, image, and likeness, deals, and immediate eligibility upon transferring allowed, college basketball now has a free agency period every offseason. And after being asked about the changing landscape of college basketball, Alford didn't hold back, offering a sharp 3-minute and 15-second criticism of the state of the game. He says this: 5 years ago, I wasn't in conversation saying, how much do you want to be paid? Alford said, I never thought that would happen in college basketball. And I always been a big proponent as the game and money has evolved and changed. It's never been one that said, I don't believe student athletes should be paid, but the way it is now is ridiculous, he says. It's utterly ridiculous, and it's changed our game. While coaches are forbidden from directly negotiating financial deals with players through NIL, all serious programs have third-party NIL collectors and receive money from boosters and pay players what are essentially salaries. Check out St. John's this year. The combined with the transfer portal allowing unrestricted players movement has made college hoops a year-to-year roster evolution rather than the more traditional program building of yesteryear. Alfred said coaches complaints are traded before every game, with the constant players movement impacting the academic enterprise of college athletes. He goes on to say this: you got to adapt. Alfred said we got to adapt, but every coach does. Every handshake I have now before games, that's brought up every game. Me and opposing coach, we are talking. We're going to talk about the portal issues and where academics is at. I talk to my compliance guys. What academic progress report anymore? You can't control APR. It's a JUCO. You're going to have to replace 8-9 guys a roster every year. The travel time that is across the country in these leagues, it makes no sense for us to be in our model, but that is our model. I'll read a little bit more later. DA, your thoughts on Coach Steve Alford?
I like Steve Alford, right? And I'm gonna not go hard.
Former Indiana player.
I'm not gonna try to get too hard on him because he played for Bobby Knight, and I don't think Bobby Knight was paying anybody except for maybe Isaiah and David Bailey, maybe. But maybe. I'm sure he's giving Isaiah money. I'm Gary.
Steve Alford was on the national championship winning team with I forgot what year, but he was on that team. Go ahead.
Isaiah played on the undefeated team, so that's so. But at any rate, the point that I try to make when we talk about this is that they knew when this was coming down the pipe. If you were going to do a risk assessment, you could pull up the top 10 risks or things that could go wrong with this thing, with this system.
And you know what? They broke down the old system systematically year over year, right? Transfers, you ain't got to sit out, right? You can play right then and there, right? Which is not a bad thing to me. But I'm just saying these are rules that are in effect as a reaction to the things that the coaches and the rest of these guys were doing, right? Because the coach didn't have to sit out a year if he went from one college to another college, right? So this is where I kept saying with football, if we make it equal, then no one can complain. And then you can clean everything up, right? So I think they screwed the pooch on this one, the NCAA. I still, the NIL thing is different from the collectives still, right? Because you still don't see a whole lot of college basketball players with commercials. Because that's all the name, image, and likenesses is for commercials, right? So maybe in Kansas or in Arkansas, Calipari can legislate for his players that we're going to be in this player is going to be in the Ford of Arkansas commercial and whatever makes some extra bread. But as far as teams getting that collective money, everybody can do it. But you know what the NCAA didn't do that everybody else does? Got a salary cap. We only can go to 10 million. Because it's not fair if Kansas is paying $20 million for kids and VCU is paying $8 million.
Facts.
So they have to do it, but there has to be a want on the adult side to fix it. That's all. And I ain't blaming the kids because if my son was playing, we'd be out there getting that bread. We'd be out there getting that bread based upon his skill level. You know what I'm saying? But he'll be there. And he'll be there until it's time to go to the pros. And that's the other thing we talked about, Kev. Well, you're going to tell people, listen, okay, we're going to collective NIL. If you're going to college, you go for 3 years. Or you go for 2 years. Or you can go straight to the NBA, straight out of high school. You got two choices. But we just can't keep playing in between because it hurts everybody doing that. But, again, the reason they don't change it, Kevin, is because if Calipari wants to leave this school and someone else has this amount of money they want to give him, Calipari's not letting you tell him he can't go. This is America. We look at that. Democracy. Capitalism. You can't tell me what money I can't make. All right, then. Mm-hmm. There you go. So, I mean, they will get it right, or will, just like your argument for the NBA, Kev is going to be on tape delay or something. Because, we are finally just getting to a point now where people know who some of these players are, and they still got years to go before that becomes like the way it used to be. But, yeah, with the money, kids don't have to leave. Like, you ain't got to go to the pros. Why are you going to the G League now? I'll stay there.
So you're saying that this will translate into kids staying?
Yeah, it should. It should. Because there's going to be a bottleneck. Because there's only a certain amount of NBA jobs out there, and only a certain amount of G League jobs out there. And as far as overseas basketball, professional basketball, I think the rule is they can only have 4 Americans on the team. If you're in the top league, like Spain, France, Turkey, Slovenia, wherever they at, you're gonna have 4 NBA players, 4 American-born players playing on those teams. So there's far more kids playing college basketball than there are spots to play professionally. So there's going to be a bottleneck where things are going to get jammed up. So it behooves the kids to stay in college longer because they can get paid there now. You can get paid there now. That kid Baycott made like Baycott.
Baycott getting it, dog.
He don't even play in the G League. He got a pretty good contract, but he made like $30-something million in Carolina. Hotels, this, that. I'm like, that's what's supposed to happen, right? He's a kid that, excuse me, our NBA talking heads and scouts get on TV and say, well, he stayed in college 4 years. He can't be that good, right? They'll tell you something stupid like that.
So well, you make a great point. So this turns around, right? What we've been saying about NBA and how, the NBA, how college basketball used to be I guess a hub for younger stars because they used to stay. And now we say within the last 15 years, that doesn't happen. They're one and done. They're gone. They're out. And, that's what it is. And now what you're saying, it makes a lot of sense. Hey, they'll just hang out there for a couple years and they'll be good.
Yeah. Because it's not like you're there for 3 years not making any money, right? You're there making money. But the reality is, for a great many years, when it came to college basketball, the talking heads would be on TV. I can't remember the dude's name. He played with Frank the Tank. What's up, Ryan? He played with Frank the Tank in Wisconsin, right? Brother, I can't remember the dude's name. He was nice, though. Like, he might have been the player of the year. But he was a senior. He stayed in Wisconsin all 4 years. And this is not going back more than 10 years ago. And dude's like, yeah, he's whack because he stayed there 4 years. Because dude's like, yo, if he had a good upside, he'd have left after his freshman year. And I'm like, God damn, like, you damned if you do, you damned if you don't. Right? So if you stay to get better, because you know there are some things in your game you want to get better at, the NBA suns his nose at you, right? Because you should have been going, you know? If he was nice, you would have been out here freshman year. And the other dudes is like, well, if you stay, you can't be that good. And the reality is that the kids are still going to be 20. And this year is why I say it's changing. Because if you look at the age of the Auburn team, older kids, right? Transfers over. They're as old as OKC. They're the same age, average of the team. So what I'm saying is it doesn't hurt those kids that people may think don't have a high enough ceiling, or maybe they're not going to be great NBA players. But you know what? Ryan D'Souza can be a point guard at Auburn for 4 years and make, 1.5 a year. And maybe never get to the NBA. But you know what he got? $7 million. That's what he has. And if this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing.
Let me go. Okay. Let me go back and double back to the other story I think Ryan will find very interesting. Before you came on, Ryan, and what's up to you, my brother?
What's up?
We read the statement from Bubba Cunningham, the North Carolina athletic director, and he gave this awful excuse on why they should have made it to the tournament and not West Virginia. And he used, I don't know if you heard the story. Let me just go back and, like I said, double back to it. Mm-hmm. And when he read this, I thought of you when they talked about Florida State last year with football. Let me find it here. If you remember when he said something about the Rise being injured. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I said they moved the narrative. They moved the goalposts and changed the narrative for their narrative.
Yeah, of course.
Right, of course.
This is what we do.
Yeah. So yeah, he tried to excuse it away, and I just thought it was just so funny how, and everybody can see it, how North Carolina was, but your thoughts on Mr. Bubba, what's his name? Bubba. Let me get his name right.
Bubba Cunningham.
Yeah, Bubba Cunningham.
Bubba Gump Shrimp.
So what did he say?
Let me just read it real quick. Hold on.
Glad handed some BS excuse about we didn't let him in because the guard at West Virginia, he was out since the dude's been out since September. December. What are we talking about? He's been out, man. You can't say you're gonna lock him out for the tournament now because he's hurt. He's been hurt for the last 3-4 months.
Yeah. And
they've been beating good teams. Kevin read the whole thing off. They were winning against good teams without him. I'm telling you, that kid Wagner's going to be a hell of a pro, yo. Just telling you. Facts. We'll take him with the Knicks. Because Brunson's too short. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wagner.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have a field of 68, right, you're gonna have some teams who are questionable. Anyway, you know what I mean? So it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think what they probably did was they put North Carolina in because of they're a blue blood.
Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, 100% right. My thing, Ryan, is that in college basketball, that's not supposed to matter. Right, because college basketball is always supposed to have a switch up and down. Like Houston wasn't a great team 10 years ago, but now they're there consistently every year.
Right.
Now 10 years ago, Virginia was there every year. Right. Now they're not there every year. You're supposed to be able to adjust for these changes. Like it just can't still be. Well,
the thing is with North Carolina too. It's like they're having they've been very inconsistent over the years. They were a 1 seed last year, and and now, 1 year they're really good, and next year they're not. And I was telling you guys before, I think they're losing the recruiting battles.
Yeah,
they're not getting all those 5-chip guys they used to get. I mean, Duke is still getting them, but now this NIL stuff. I mean, for instance, like you said, you mentioned Houston, the Houston Cougars. They're going to have a top 2 draft class coming in 2025, with like 3 top 25 players. You know what I'm saying? 3 McDonald's All-Americans, and probably one of the best point guards coming. So and a big that can stretch the floor. So yeah, it's like I said, man, this NIL thing and the transfer portal has definitely leveled the playing field, and which is good. It's more parity, but it's North Carolina. So if all things are even, they're gonna go with a blue blood because of the fan base.
Well, what's funny about that blue blood thing is like the fan base in North Carolina are the main guys screaming about getting Hubert fired. So it's not like they care that much because they want Hubert gone.
Because of the inconsistency. I think it's the inconsistency with them. Like,
that's the problem of being in the blue blood, right? You come behind Dean Smith, Frank, what's his name, Matt Doherty. You come behind good coaches. They're not willing to step and give up a coach like they coached. Right. It's going to be very apparent to see everyone else is looking like, oh, okay, yeah, you're not doing this the same way they did it.
Yeah.
So,
I also wanted to point out, and I had some issues here, but I'm good. I'm back. About we was talking about some of the coaches and stuff like that, and Ryan, how you just said it too, how the NIL has absolutely changed the game, and how one of the Duke assistants in the middle, when Duke was about to, I believe, they was playing somebody a couple weeks ago, and in the middle of the season,
he bounced.
Yeah, he bounced, and he had to bounce to win the recruiting war down here in Miami. So when they go ahead.
Oh, you mean
what's his name? I can't think of the coach's name, but he was the assistant coach with Duke, and he took the job with Miami. Yeah.
I mean, he's so that was already in the works. He's one of the best recruits in the nation. Because if Larinaga doesn't leave, because Larinaga's older. Remember, the Canes were just in the Final Four 2 years ago, and the whole team left. He's like, "What the hell just happened? What do you mean you guys are leaving? We just went to the Final Four." Yeah, and he was shocked. He's like, "My players are coming to me like, I need more money," and half the team is gone. Two of them went to the league, Omer went to Baylor, I believe. He's at Baylor. And you see it all the time. Look at the FAU, all the FAU kids.
Remember that?
They were in the same Final Four 2 years ago. All the FAU kids. I mean, even the coach left. The coach went to Michigan. Brought Vlad, the center, with him. And now Elijah Martin. He's at University of Florida, probably with one of the favorites to win it all. And you got John L. Davis is at Arkansas playing right now for Arkansas. So yeah, it's just. But I understand them. You know what I'm saying? You're at FAU. You got to strike while the iron's hot, because FAU is I went to FAU.
Yeah, there's levels. There's levels to this, right?
Right.
Yeah,
the program is growing. They did something special. They were a buzzer beater away from going to the national championship. So the program is growing, but I don't blame those guys.
Made a lot of money, Ryan. That year got sold.
Yeah,
a lot of money for the school.
Right.
I don't think coaches are willing to coach anymore. They're scared to coach. They run away from the coaching. Right?
Well, they did come back. They came back for the next year. They all came back and tried to run it back, but I think they got eliminated in right before the Sweet 16.
No, I wasn't talking about specifically that school. I was just saying that these coaches now, they want to be able to bounce, but they don't want the kids to bounce. Right? They want to go get paid, but they don't want the kids to get paid. Right? And then if the rules change, like Larinaga, it's like a dog. You're the University of Miami, which means you're probably in the upper 3% of institutions in this country as far as endowments, money, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, they got.
If you don't
a private university, yes.
If you don't want to put your paper into those kids, that's a you thing.
Yeah.
Right? Because you are in a city. It's not New York City. It's not California. But 13, 14 guys on that team, you could get one player to do one car dealership in the NIL, because that's all that is. That's name, image, likeness. Meaning to say that it's a commercial. It's something else. You could get somebody to do something in Miami for one of those players, whether it's a commercial for this, that, just to get some bread. Now, the collective money that, they come together and give out is a different deal, right? So I looked at a thing the other day with VCU, right? Virginia Commonwealth lost today, right?
Yeah.
I think they were losing, but okay. So VCU,
BYU, I think BYU beat them.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
So VCU doesn't have a football team, so all their collective money goes to the basketball team. Should have no problem. They should have the best damn team in the country.
Yeah, but they're not making any money though.
If it's just about money,
it's VCU.
No, but what I'm saying is there's money there. Because
there's money there, but
a lot of these schools don't make no money, man. But you got to remember, like, they got a bunch of rich alumni that they'll all throw up $1 million a piece, and you got $13 million for these kids. They don't have a football team to share with. They don't have a baseball team to share with. They're good,
right? But
right?
football,
so they could do that if they wanted to. What I'm saying is, it's a matter of choice.
Yeah, but you having a football program at your school generates so much money, like. So them not having a football team is.
In this case, I'm just saying that could be the gift of the curse, because if you got a great football team, that football team is going to take more money, right? So if you don't have a football team and you're playing in a smaller market, because this is all we got, got $13 million, you could get a pretty good team. What I am saying is that it's each institution's prerogative to be the type of organization they want to be based upon the amount of money they're willing to spend. Mm-hmm. That's all. I'm not giving any teams and schools a pass because they're saying, "Oh, we don't have enough money to do this." You're still getting intuition, ain't you? Make it pop. I'm not your accountant. Like I say, we're all athletes in sports, man. It's not my job to budget your books. It's my job to get paid.
So let me interject here, and I said that in this article. One of the reasons why St. John's has became what they are. I'll just read this article, and I heard this from Patino the other day, and this is from Front Office Sports. It says, who's the author of this? Amanda Kristoff. She says, Billionaire St. John's alum, y'all know this guy, Mike Rappool, stood atop a black stage on the court of Madison Square Garden, which was covered in red and white and blue confetti, and this was on 2 days ago. The Red Storm had just won their first Big East tournament 25 years ago, securing a 2 seed in the upcoming NCAA tournament, and Rappool watched team members from his alma mater climb a ladder and cut down pieces of the basketball net as a part of the ceremony's tournament champion ritual. He did push through the crowd on the hardwood, appearing perfectly content, watching from a few feet back, snapping iPhone pictures, shaking hands, and smiling from a short distance. His presence may have been unassuming that night, but he's been an integral piece of the Johnny's success this year when the school hired legendary coach Rick Pitino back in 2023. I let St. John's know that, listen, you guys will have my cooperation to do whatever it takes to help this university get back in the national spotlight. Rappool tells Front Office Sports. St. John used to be a fixture of college basketball back in the 80s and 90s when they were led by legendary sweater-wearing coach Lou Carnesecca. Since then, the team has struggled to find that leadership, running through almost a dozen coaches since Carnesecca left in 92. But in 2023, Rappool helped enlist Pitino and has since donated millions in name, image, and likeness money to help with recruiting efforts, along with the new leadership of the university president, Reverend Brian Shangley, hired in 2021, and the athletic director, Ed Cole, hired in 2024. Rappool and Pitino have ushered in a new era of embracing all of college sports, new rules, allowing NIL deals and unrestricted transfers. And I'm gonna pick something from Ryan. Ryan says, "Hey man, things change. Go ahead."
Well, there you go. I mean, that's what I said last week. Rick Pitino said, "Look, I'm not recruiting any high school kids for what?
Not what?
No. When unless they're 5-star, Cooper Flags and Ace Baileys and Ron Harper Juniors, there's no need for me to recruit them because they're not going to play, because I'm just going to go into the transfer portal. We're going to pay these kids. You know what I'm saying? So basically the upperclassmen, right, are going to get, if you're not like a 5-star guy, they're getting all upperclassmen. Now you see a lot of these teams. Oh, it's like 23, 24-year-olds playing out there.
Yes.
That's Auburn. They're 30 years old.
Correct. Yeah. Facts. So, Houston's like that too. Houston keeps everybody. Like, you go through that program and you're there for like, hardly anybody transfers from Houston. A few transferred, but they're there for 3-4 years. And that's why they've been so consistent over the last 10 years in building that program, because of Sampson's tough-minded coaching. People, kids want to go and play for him, man, and change the culture. He's tough nosed. It's all about defense. But that's the point. These the NIL is just you're just picking your players from the portal, and you're getting you're paying them to play, and there's really no need for you to go and get the freshmen's the seniors from high school to come. They're gonna tell you, hey, go to a different school, get better, and then when you maybe like you're a sophomore or junior,
we'll holler at you.
Then we'll holler at you. If you can, and that's what these teams are doing.
College football been doing this for a few years now, right?
Absolutely.
Why am I going to an 18-year-old that don't know how to act on campus, and I get a kid from Townsend State that ran for 2,000 yards a year? He already knows how to work out. He already knows how to pass block. He already knows how to catch. All I got to do is plug and play.
Yeah.
Right? That's all I got to do. Because he's fighting to get to the NFL now. Remember, because he went to Townsend State. Right. And no one knew he was that good till he transferred to Alabama or wherever he transferred to. Mm-hmm. Same thing here, man. When I heard that, that makes sense.
Yeah, and a good point too. With college kids being older, because they had that COVID eligibility for that extra year. So this is the last year of it. There's no more.
Yeah,
that's it. You know what I'm saying? So now you'll see the kids, for 4 years and not that 5. Unless they get red shirt or whatever.
Everybody will get a shirt.
Injury red shirt or what have you. Because you had some kids that was there for six years.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure not many of those kids got to the NBA, but they got some money.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Let me just read this real quick. In early February, Repo announced he would match up to $1 million in NIL donations. Hold on 1 second. Now lose my place. To Flat Top Fund, one of St. John's collectors. By the middle of March, more than $657,000 has been raised. Cole says, noting all the donors were new. So, like you said, Ryan, there's a new frontier going on. If you don't change, you'll be left behind. So,
there's not money in New York City, man. There's still a lot of money in New York City, man.
Right.
Well, of course there is.
And
you have to do all kind of commercials,
and
all kind of commercials out there.
The NIL money is different for basketball than it is for football. Yeah. Football players are getting like $4 million. You know what I'm saying? The top guys. Basketball players are not getting that. You know what I'm saying? It's
not yet.
Not yet. So, I would say not yet. I'll wait. Mike Mills, what's up, brother? How are you tonight? We're talking about NIL, and we're just heavy on NCAA basketball. And just talking some of the outer aspects of it. How are you tonight, sir? How's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys? Enjoy the tournament.
Enjoy the tournament. Yes. Good day to be home watching the tournament, or if you're at work or whatever you're doing, man. Let me go to the next basketball story before we go back into what's actually on the court. The Boston Celtics. The NBA franchise agrees to sell for a record, get this, y'all, $6.1 billion to Bill Chisholm. The Boston Celtics ownership group announced Thursday that it has agreed to sell the franchise for $6.1 billion to Bill Chisholm, the managing director and co-founder of the California-based private equity firm Symphony Technology Group. If approved by the NBA's Board of Governors, the deal will set a record for the most a North American professional sports franchise has ever sold for, surpassing the 6.05 valuation of the NFL's Washington Commanders when Josh Harris bought the team back in 2023. That same year, Matt Ashibia, brought the Phoenix Suns for $4 billion, the most an NBA team has ever been sold for at that time. Chisholm grew up a Celtics fan in Massachusetts. His group has agreed to purchase the franchise from Boston Basketball Partners, LLC, the ownership group led by the Grousbeck family. Last July, after the franchise won its 18th championship, Boston's ownership group announced that the team was up for sale, but that White Grousbeck intended to remain governor of the team until 2028. in a news release announcing the agreement and in an interview with ESPN's Shams Charania, Grousbeck said that he will remain governor and CEO of the team until the end of the 2027-2028 season at Chisholm's request. Ryan, your thoughts on the Celtics?
Yeah,
and this sell.
Right. It's the same. It's sort of the same thing. When Mark Cuban sold the majority shares in with Dallas, he stayed on,
right,
you know, running the team until he gave it up. And one of his reasons was because he sold because his kids didn't want to take over the business or whatever. So his kids, you know.
Well, shout out to his kids for being honest.
Right, like yeah, that. I mean, his kids are relatively young still, but it looked like he was kind of, you know. I mean, it's like a house, man. Like it's, you know, you flip a house. You know what I'm saying? So they're just flipping because the money is so astronomical. Like you said, you just said $6.2 billion. So you know it's, you know, if your heart is not in it, you might as well cash out. So and that's
not everybody's down with being that silent partner. So
right, and that's what it was with Boston. You know what I'm saying? So no, I mean, hey, I mean, we're always gonna see this, man. In sports franchise a lot where, you know, it's a money grab. So they like, how much? Okay, I purchased it for this, and you know, because
just like your house, right?
So I mean, hey, and it's one of the top two franchises in the NBA with the Lakers. Boston and the Lakers are probably the two
most lucrative,
lucrative valued franchises.
And money like they're out their minds,
and you know, and most accomplished. You know, the Knicks are right there with them as far as being lucrative because of they're in New York. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's good business deal for them. So I mean, that's all I gotta say. And then, I mean, and why not come in, you know, when your team is, you know, just got finished winning the championship. They're all pretty much, the core is pretty much young. So there's not, you know, it's pretty much, you just gotta just keep going with the flow until, you know, it's time to, you know, to pony up some more money. I mean,
I don't think that, go ahead, I'm sorry, man.
No, you good. Because and there was rumors that is that the owner didn't want to, the guy who sold, you know, was weary about, you know, the supermax contracts and things of that nature. So, like I said,
Are you talking about for the Boston, or are you talking about for Dallas?
Boston.
Okay.
I think they did a pretty good job because they got a young team and those dudes look to be at least another 3-4 years. We'll say that, right, without injuries.
Easy.
Like Horford is probably going to retire. They're probably trying to go back out and get Robert Williams out of Portland because they don't want nobody there, and bring the big man back because they, you know, and because Brown and Tatum, your man Afro hair, White, you know, they got a pretty good crew for a little while. If Porzingis, if you get 50 games out of the year, that's fine.
Pritchard off the bench. I mean, they're stacked, man. They're stacked.
They're good to go. So, and that's why I would, if I had $6.1 billion, now I would actually probably pay my mortgage off. But if I do have $6.1 billion, that would probably be one of the teams if you couldn't get like an OKC, because the profit margin in the OKC is probably higher than it is in Boston because you're not paying a whole bunch for your operational costs in OKC, and you're making a lot of money because they're packed out every night. So they just had to get hit with that. Ticket prices are now $80 a game now, you know, which probably won't go over as well as it would in like LA. But listen, man, they're in the perfect niche spot, and I think they got a chance to win it again this year. So
yeah,
you know.
and what I always say, Kev, these owners are printing money, man. Like the TV right deals, they're getting
the Ryanisms, boy. I need to put that on a t-shirt.
They're pretty much like the, you know, the stadium, not a stadium, all the stadium stuff is all them.
Yeah.
That's you know, residual. You know what I'm saying? Like the, you know, just icing on the cake. That's all their stuff. You know what I'm saying? And they all share. It's all collective bargaining. They all share the profit. Even with jersey sales, everything is shared in the NBA.
Billionaire Boys Club.
Right. So everybody's making money. Nobody's losing money. It's just hey, I have a chance to sell the team for $6.2 billion.
Get my boy
let's get out now.
Yeah, and they usually mess with their people, so which is good. I mean, well, I'm not mad.
Cash my chips in. Ryan knows about that.
Yeah, and not only that too. I mean, the Celtics front office caught some heat with the whole Ime Udoka thing, because that was never supposed to be let out, because there's been plenty of times where people have unmarried stuff or relationships at work that was never supposed to get let out. Brad Stevens didn't want to fire Ime.
No,
I mean they just went to the championship his first year.
Right.
The team didn't want to let him go. It was just that within the front office,
somebody's feelings were hurt.
Somebody's feelings was hurt, and kind of blew it out of proportion, and they had to save face, right? But yeah, so is what it. But somebody else's trash is somebody else's
somebody else's treasure.
Yeah,
yes, because Ime's doing a hell of a job in Houston.
Yes, he is. Let me move on to this last story and talk about billionaires again. Dan actually sent me this story around 6:00 this night, and it's involved hockey. American, and this story is from ESPN from Emily Kaplan. She says this American billionaire Dan Friedkin, has emerged as a strong ownership option to bring NHL to Houston, sources told ESPN.
Really?
Attempts to reach the Friedkin group for comment were unsuccessful, but NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley confirmed in an email that the league has met with the group on a number of occasions about potential interest in Houston expansion franchise. Friedkin and CEO of the I want to say this is Friedkin. Let me just say Friedkin instead of Friedkin. Friedkin Group, which is based in Houston and has begun his foray into professional sports ownerships over the past years. In 2020, the company bought the Italian Serie A club AS Roma. In 2024, the TPG became majority owners of the English Premier League club Everton. Earlier this month, TFG helped secure $350 million in funding a new stadium for Everton. According to reports, the TFG was also considering a bid for the Boston Celtics. As you see, they lost out of the NBA, which sold on Thursday for a record $6.1 billion. Friedkin is chairman and CEO of Gulf States of Toyota. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman has tried to cool off expansion rumors recently, telling reporters in October that the topic never came up this fall at this fall's Board of Governors meeting, and that expansion was not a front burner topic. Leading Bettman's agenda right now is new collective bargaining agreement with the players. The NHL and the NHLPA are expected to begin formal CBA discussions on April 1st. The NHL also needs to negotiate a new Canadian TV deal as well. Houston Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta previously had conversations with the NHL about the possibility of owning a hockey team. However, it appears the Friedkin Group has emerged as a more viable option. The NHL went from 30 to 32 clubs when they added Vegas, began playing in 2017 and 2018, and Seattle debuted in the 2021-2022 season. The expansion fees for Vegas was $500 million, and for Seattle was $650 million. If the NHL decides to expand again, they could add 2 clubs, but stagger their start dates. Atlanta is believed to be another strong candidate for potential expansion. I'm pretty sure Dan would love to hear that again. The NHL has twice left Atlanta, most recently in 2011 when the Thrashers relocated to Winnipeg. However, progress has been made on a possible return to Atlanta over the past several months. This week, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry posted a social media that he had an extremely productive call with the NHL about the prospects of teams in New Orleans. I'll get us to the DA. Your thoughts on expansion in Houston?
I think it's a good thing. Like I said, this is, I don't want to give too much credit to billionaires, but they are billionaires for a freaking reason. 1, 2, they have market research teams. They have, they go out and, poll the city, the state. Hey, how are you guys going to feel about having a hockey team? What would be the support for because no one wants to open it and get it right. For the first 2-3 years, people are coming and then people stop coming, right? You don't want that to happen. So You have to figure out, and you have to size your team the right way. So you don't get a place that has a 40,000, arena in Houston for hockey because they're not going to pack that. But you might get some for 20 and make enough money to live, and then as you get bigger and better, then you size it out, But yeah, I think it's a good deal. I really do, because I think hockey has a niche kind of like underground hip hop, man. Dudes that dig it. Dudes that don't.
That's a good point.
And I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
That's
Go
it.
ahead, Ryan.
No, and too, like when we're talking about these groups forming and purchasing teams and things of that nature, like these are this is just a hobby for a lot of these owners.
Yeah.
This is just hot. This is owning a sports franchise is just a hobby. There's like I want to say maybe the LA Lakers, Los Angeles Lakers is probably the only family run where that's their only that's their money. That's how they make their money. That's their money maker.
Everybody else is corporate.
Yeah, all these other franchises, this is just a hobby for them because they have all this money and they're just they want to be an owner of a sports franchise, and it's very lucrative as we saw what it's selling for. But if these teams fail or flop or or have to leave the city, it's no skin off their back. They're like whatever. You know what I mean? So
you lose in business, man.
Yeah. And it's just a hobby for them, man. It's just a hobby for them.
Yeah, you was making me think about some of the teams that actually are corporations. I'm thinking about the Yankees. The Yankees now, that's pretty much a family business, and as you can see, they've been shopping with coupons lately. They ain't spending the dude that owned the Mets. He's a hedge fund gazillionaire.
Out of his pockets.
Yeah,
anybody with a hedge fund is definitely just a game for them. That's not what they do.
Yeah, it's just
right? Hedge funds is stressful. It's a stressful thing, whatever it is. But the reality is, I never thought that owners were in it to win. I know they're always in it to get a profit, but winning the championship is not necessarily what they are. They wake up at night thinking about winning the chip. So it kind of is what it is. I got no problem with them.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But we're talking about Houston, right? That's the fourth largest city in
the U.S. Correct.
In the U.S. So that's like DA said. There'll be people who will go to a hockey game in Houston.
Yeah.
So
especially if they start winning.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
So just like down here in South Florida, about 10 years ago, they was talking about the Panthers moving.
Oh, listen. I'm hearing.
Winning cures everything, right?
We're both here in South Florida. All right.
Yes.
South Florida is their fan base is just a winning fan base, meaning they're only going to support you when they're winning. Period. Even with the Heat, if they're down, there's not a lot of people that's going to the stadium. You know what I'm saying? Or the arena. The Florida Marlins. I mean, even the Dolphins. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's just there's just too much to do in South Florida, man. To you know what I mean? So, the house is going to be packed if you're a winning culture or if you're a winning team. So,
yes, and the Marlins would not be sending me emails talking about free tickets, for sure.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to football legend. Thank you for chiming in. He said he wants to sub in.
Come on in.
Yeah.
What kind of offense they running? Sub on in? Crazy.
Been a rough few weeks, I believe in that.
Yeah, man. So that's all I got for the news. We went over a little bit over with that, but I like to sometimes talk about behind the scenes, some of the stories that make up with what we do and what's going to court. So we're going to go to the court and talk about NCAA men's and ladies. The tournament is here. March Madness is here.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Mills, you had McNeese State beating Clemson?
Nah, man. I did have McNeese State covering the spread, though.
There you
I had
go.
them covering the spread, but I didn't have them winning the game. But
Mike,
it's always a 12-5, man. It's every year. It's a 12-5 every year.
I
12-5.
also had High Point covering the spread too, but High Point let it go at the end, man.
Yeah,
they was playing them close all game. but I did call Creighton.
Got you.
All right.
What you got for us when it comes to the tournament here?
Well, so far today, we've only had one big upset, as you alluded to, with McNeese winning by 2 points against Clemson, even though there really wasn't a 2-point game. They were smacking Clemson around.
No, they were
Clemson
like,
came out there. Yeah, they was out there and they slippers. They came sleepwalking. They thought they were supposed to win, and they got beat on. And that's what happens here. Like, people say these smaller schools are at a disadvantage because talent-wise and all that, but that don't matter in March because they not used to y'all, and they don't know what y'all gonna do. Like, Clemson had a clear size advantage, but them dudes in McNeese State, they just played up. And in their chest, had them in submission, and then by the end, when it got close, it was too far. So it didn't even matter.
They literally played prevent defense at the end. It was just all right.
Yeah, it was like, all right, y'all cut it to 5. Okay, we're gonna score 3. All right, cut it to 2. All right, we're gonna get it back to 6. Like, it was just, it was terrible. It was terrible. But and then the other one, and then one of the 1 seeds today, Auburn was getting pushed off first half, and then they woke up. Yeah. So they had the lead, but boy, Alabama State was on their head.
Yeah.
But in the Midwest regional today, besides Clemson losing, we had Houston winning by 38.
Oh, and they took the foot off the gas. Wasn't even trying to score in the second half.
Oh yeah, that could have been 120 points to by the end of the game if they wanted to. And that's why Houston is my pick, man, because they play defense and they don't care who they're playing against. They don't care who's on the other side of the court. They're gonna play their game and they're gonna dictate it how they want to dictate it.
Right. I tell you what, Mike Mills. I mean, I would love that, but this next game on Saturday, this is the one game. I think Houston gets to the Final Four if they can just get past Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think they will.
See, the problem. Georgia didn't have a chance against Gonzaga because they're young and they sloppy.
Yeah,
Houston don't have them problems. They can match up size-wise, and they're not sloppy. They're not going to beat themselves.
And they're more athletic than Gonzaga is.
And way more physical. I mean, Houston's probably the most physical team in the league. And not only that, past Kelvin Sampson's teams has always been, rely on our defense and but at times their offense, they couldn't shoot. Now they got 3 guys that can knock down to 3. With LJ Cryer, Milos, and so now they can shoot. So now they have a complete diverse offense, man. Where I think they're like number 2 in the nation in 3-point shooting. I mean, if Houston doesn't win it this year, man, I'm like, damn, this is their shot. Last year they had a good shot too. They had Duke on the ropes. I mean, they were winning the whole game against Duke, and then the point guard Jamal Shed sprained his ankle, and he was their best player. And
I remember that.
Yeah, he sprained his ankle, and that was it, man. Duke got out of there with the win, but listen, we all know, man, in sports you have to be good, but you have to be lucky, and you have to be healthy. So. So let's see if they can get past Gonzaga, man. I love their chances getting to the Final Four and getting to the national championship. But Gonzaga's tough, man. The coach for Gonzaga is just amazing. He's been to the Sweet 16 like every year, like past 10 years. He's just amazing. So they haven't won it, but
yeah, they got one problem they're always going to have, and they're a good team, and they've been. Few, right? His name is Few. But years past, they only play one other team that's really good in their conference, and that's St. Mary's, right? And then they have a conference schedule that's okay, but they're not tested enough. And this happens every year. Like I've been,
true.
They're a good team, but now when they're up against other good teams, right? Because they just don't have that. Man, schedule matters. I keep telling. I say it in every sport, man. Who you play matters because it's either going to sharpen your iron to get you better or you're going to get soft. Like Clemson, I could tell Kevin when I first got on, I should never pick Clemson. The ACC is the weakest conference of all the big conferences. There's nothing in that conference that's worth a pack of Skittles. No disrespect.
You know, as opposed to the way they were in years past. Like,
right,
it's Duke. Stop. That's it. Like,
well, the ACC was watered down this year. They was
a
way
hard
better
stop.
last year.
Hard stop.
It was way better last year. This year, they was kind of watered down.
But that's what we just saying, Mikey. That's on the school, man. Y'all got the money. Y'all get who y'all want up in there, B. You know, if Hubert Davis can't pull nobody in, that ain't my fault. They're going to Alabama. They're going to Auburn. They're going to Tennessee. They're going to Florida. You know, Missouri. I mean, they got 14 schools in the tournament. The money is going somewhere.
But they weaker teams not no good neither. I felt like they kind of gave a couple of them teams some bids.
Yeah, I think because they wasn't going to give them to the ACC, so they give it to someone. They couldn't give it to BMCC. So
shout out to BMCC. That's crazy.
Yeah,
shout out to them.
And even with like the SEC, who was the SEC and Big 12 were probably the two best conferences. SEC, have what 12 teams, 12 or 14 teams in
14.
Yeah, and I mean, but two of them already lost. Texas lost, Georgia lost. So
Georgia,
Missouri's going next. I'm telling y'all now.
Yeah,
I don't think Texas is that good. So
yeah, man. But man, I hope you guys are right, man. I picked Florida to win the national championship. I got Florida and Houston. I picked Florida. I picked Florida and Houston in the national championship. And the only reason why I picked Florida and not my Cougs is because I didn't want to jinx them. Because every time I pick them, they never make it. So
it's interesting. I don't have Florida making it out their side of the bracket.
Wow, Florida is so good, man.
Florida
is stacked. I believe they have the best guard in the league, Clayton.
But Florida, I feel like got the toughest road. That's their problem.
That's right. That could be it too. But they also played like DA said. They also played in the SEC, which was
very tough.
Tough. So all their games were, they beat Auburn. They beat Alabama twice. They beat they beat Tennessee twice. So
they took care of their business.
They're tested, man, and they got two at every position. And they can play anyway. You want a fast tempo? Cool, let's go. You want to slow it down? They got bigs on top of bigs, just rotating in, man. They're well coached, and they have Elijah Martin from FAU who just went to the Final Four from FAU, transferred there. So he's a dog, man. And then I think they have Clayton who's the best. Well, he was first team. All NCAA first team. So he's special. He's gonna be somebody you're gonna see on the next level. They have it all, man. They're gonna be tough to beat. But I'm hoping I'm wrong, and I'm hoping the Cougs cut the Nets down.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
what else we got?
On that side, like they got UConn. They would have either UConn or Oklahoma. I don't see UConn losing that early. So UConn could always knock them off. Then,
wait. This is not UConn from the last 2 years. UConn has struggled.
UConn's not that deep, man.
No,
UConn's not that deep, but they're a different team in March.
But they lost so many of those dudes that was there last year.
Yeah, this is not the same UConn team, man.
Listen, man, I'm telling y'all, when they handle Oklahoma, we're gonna see what they do to Florida. And then you also got Maryland, who surged at the right time. You got
you got UConn beating Florida.
I don't have UConn beating them, but I'm saying UConn could beat them. Yeah, listen, man.
Yeah. I mean,
devil's advocate with the media, man. With the media, remember that.
Yeah, anything can happen.
But I do have St. John's beating them.
Yeah.
I don't see them beating St. John's, man. St. John's make that floor real small, and they make that basket real tight. So I have St. John's beating them. My national title games actually St. John's and Houston, but I think Houston got the edge.
Wow, that would be a bar fight.
That would be phenomenal. I picked.
That would be a bar fight. St. John's,
New York.
Sheesh, that'd be grown men on top of grown men.
That's what's right. Pause, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
My bad. Yeah. Pause.
But, gotcha. What else, Mills? What you got? I'm sorry.
No, you good.
But my next big upset I got going right now. I mean, Arkansas is beating Kansas by 10. I don't really see that as an upset. I feel like that's a mistake in the seating because them two shouldn't have been there. But I got Drake beating Missouri, man. I've been watching.
Yeah,
I've been tapping in on them Drake games a little bit, man. And they coach
Drake
came up from D1. They was a tough team last year. They almost upset somebody last year, but they big man got out. But this is a whole new team. The coach came up from D2, and he brought his whole starting five, except I think one guy, and it's clicking. Same results. They out there 30-3. They won their conference. So yeah, I got Drake, man. I think they must sleep a Sweet 16 team.
Well, Drake is in that Keystone Conference, right?
Missouri Valley, I think.
Yeah. They always are good. They're usually the best. I think Drayton, not. There's another school in there that's usually okay, but yeah.
You thinking
I think they're gonna be good. I think they'll be good. I just, like I said, Arkansas scares me now because I forgot that Milt's grandson plays there. And one thing I can tell you, fellas, NCAA tournament is based on guards. So this is how Connecticut won theirs. They just have the best guard, and you'll win. Best guard wins.
That's why Houston's so formidable, because they have 3 guards. Florida's formidable. Auburn, they kind of play with bigs, man. Auburn hasn't been
the guard is steady though. The little guy is steady.
Yeah, he's good.
He's not going to turn it over. He's going to score his 10 and get his assist, and that's it.
But Auburn, the last 4 games, they've been kind of uneasy, man. They lost 3 of them.
And then today they came out looking shaky. You don't want to do that in the tournament because now everybody think you sweet.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that they are old, but they're not experienced old. They're just old. Because the guys came from transferred in. So, sometimes it's a thing, I guess, where teams kind of have to pull it together, because look, I don't know, man. It's just funny to hear the stories and how they do this foolishness. But I do believe that it's going to be a good tournament.
Oh, it's always a good tournament, man. Yeah. Listen, March Madness don't never fail you, man.
Never disappoints. Never disappoints.
Right? Ever. Even if it's chalk. You know what I'm saying? Like, people like, oh, I like the, because even if you have chalk, right? You can say that you have all the number 1 seeds going to the Final Four. You're still like, damn, I got the best teams. And then if you have a Cinderella, then you have that narrative. So no matter how it shakes out, there's always a narrative that you can, build on and support or want to watch. Because you're either gonna want to watch because it's all the number 1 seeds and who's gonna win it out, or you're gonna watch because, man, I want to see what the Cinderella team can they keep going. So that's exciting, man.
I think the best thing about the NCAA tournament is that you don't have to be a fan of a team in week 1 to be riding for them by championship. So,
that's a fact.
Because your team might have got knocked out, but now you roll with the next team.
Yeah, no, it's just it's fun.
Yeah, man. you gain. That's a good point, there. You gain somebody's loyalty by just root for them, like you said. There might be that Cinderella story and all that. Mike Mills, real quick, Mike. Before you go to the ladies, your thoughts on North Carolina that they're in the party.
I don't think they should have been in that game, but shout out to them for understanding the assignment and playing with house money. At this point, y'all playing with house money. Everybody doubted y'all. So, I could potentially see them getting an upset tomorrow, but I don't see them going far because
no
they're
Sweet
just
16?
too inconsistent. Nah, they're just too inconsistent, man. They their own worst enemy.
I agree.
They just... And old boy should have just went. I don't know why he came back. He should have just went.
Who?
What's his name, man?
Not the one DA was talking about earlier. What's my man name? Does D play for North Carolina?
RJ Davis. RJ should have went, man. He should have went. I know why he went back. I get it. Help your stop. I get it. NIL, you the man out there. I think he should have went.
Gotcha. What's going on with the ladies? I'm sorry. Are you finished with the guys?
Yeah, I'm finished with the fellas. Let's go to the ladies.
All right, the ladies.
Woo! This might even be better than the guys, man. You know how I roll.
On this women's side, man, they did some real interesting things with this seating. Like UConn and USC on the same side was insane. I couldn't believe they went ahead and did that. I feel like they could have put them somewhere else.
But how though? I mean, you couldn't have 5 number 1 seeds. So
I know, but is UConn really a 2 though?
Yeah, right. Because
if you look at and you look at all the other 2s, they're nothing like the other 2s.
Right. But the reason why, right? All the ones, the South Carolinas, the USCs, the UCLAs, and the Texas, right? All the number 1 seeds in the women's tournament all had way stronger schedules than them. That's like true. UConn's conference was horrible. They were beating up on everybody. Now, granted, they went into South Carolina and broke the streak and blew them out. But if you look at, just like how DA says, sharpening your knife or your sword or whatever by scheduling tough games. South Carolina's schedule was by far the hardest. Mm-hmm. Not only did they have to play in the SEC, which is tough, that just got Texas into their conference, but out of conference, they're always scheduling. They scheduled UCLA. All their out of conference. They scheduled Connecticut. So and that's why Dawn Staley was so upset. Like, I feel like we should have been the number 1 seed. Yes, UCLA beat us. Yes, UConn beat us. But if her point is, if we had the toughest schedule and we only have 3 losses and they have 2,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And we played this hellacious schedule, right? And because they beat us, you're saying they're getting so much credit for beating us, then where's our credit for beating us and going through that schedule? So I understand both sides. I'm not mad with it. I would have liked Texas to be the 4th seed and USC be the 3 seed, and Texas and UConn play, and UConn be the number 2 seed in the Texas side bracket. So so we could have saw like a USC and Connecticut in the Final Four, because they were in the Final Four last year, I believe, or Elite 8, one of the 2.
Elite 8.
Yeah, Elite 8. So we're probably gonna get an Elite 8. So
I was just go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and sometimes it might be better for the Elite 8. What if somebody got upset and they didn't make it? You know what I'm saying? That we've never see it. So at least we're gonna get to see it, because I believe both of them will get to the Elite 8.
I was just going to say, to back up your argument about South Carolina, man, and I'm just looking through their schedule, and they just didn't beat teams. They just beat the hell out of them. You know what I'm saying? Winning by, they beat Oklahoma by 21, and there's a couple games where they just ranked teams.
All top 25 teams, all of them. And what they did in the SEC tournament was ridiculous. They beat everybody by, I mean, but the lady came out and said the reason why South Carolina didn't get the number 1 seed was in their losses. They got blown out in their losses. UCLA blew them out.
Yeah.
UConn blew them out, and Texas the second time beat them by 10. In Austin. So that's why they weren't the number 1 seed. So they were saying they looked at margin of defeat when you lost. So that was a good point. Would I have given South Carolina the number 1 seed? Yes, and they're the defending champs as well, and only
exactly.
and only missing Carmela Cardoso, which is a big deal because she's awesome. But I think they did enough to still be the number 1 overall seed. But hey, number 2 seed, let's go. I actually like their schedule versus UCLA's, because UCLA is gonna have to play LSU is in their bracket. Another and who's it?
Baylor's in their bracket.
Yeah. So who is in? Let me see.
I'm sorry, I got it right here. Let me just pull it up for y'all.
Yeah.
Women's bracket. There you go. I don't know if y'all can see it there. There you go. So I'm starting from the top. You got UCLA. What's that? Richmond, Georgia Tech, Utah, Indiana, Ole Miss, Ball State, Alabama, Green Bay,
Yeah, so they had. Yeah, you're right. So my bad, Kev. So they have.
No, you're good.
So UCLA, right? So their number 2 in their bracket is NC State, which is good, and then their number 3 is LSU with Flage and Kim Mulkey. So that's a hard ass bracket for it to be a number 1 seed. So I actually think South Carolina got the easiest road to get to the Final Four. So I think it actually worked out for them.
So South Carolina in their bracket, they got Maryland number 4, Alabama 5, West Virginia 6, North Carolina number 3,
Duke
and Duke number 2.
Yeah, see, I like that. They don't even have to play Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I have Notre Dame going to the Final Four. I do. I have. Well, I'm not gonna tell y'all because I don't want y'all to steal.
Ryan's always about that, making sure he ain't tipping his.
But what I have though, I have UConn, NC State, South Carolina, and Notre Dame. I don't have UCLA or USC. I think UConn is gonna beat USC.
Yeah,
I agree with you there. I got UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, and Texas.
Yeah, and I think it's gonna be South Carolina versus UConn in a rematch. And the reason why, right, is because of 2 freshmen. The number 1 recruit from last year, Sarah Strong, right? And then Joyce Edwards from South Carolina. I think watch those 2 in the tournament. Those girls are gonna be the reason why that UConn and South Carolina get to the Final Four. Of course, you have Paige, you have AZ Fudd, you know what I'm saying? You have all the McDonald's All-Americans at South Carolina, Pow, Malaysia Fawali, you know what I'm saying? So you have their stack, and everybody always complain, oh, they got so many McDonald's All-Americans, but none of them made the first team on or second team, you know what I'm saying? Like in the nation. So they're just gonna run it out there, man, and they're just so deep. They're just gonna wear teams out. But I think the only team, if I'm honest, I think the only team that can beat South Carolina is UConn. But I still think South Carolina is gonna get it done.
Right.
I think that's the only team that can beat UConn. South Carolina is UConn, because and not because of Paige, it's because of Sarah Strong. I mean, because we know Paige is awesome. Paige is awesome. So but last year, when they played Iowa, it was, and AZ wasn't there, so it was just Paige by herself. Paige is gonna beat Paige. Paige is awesome. She's gonna ball out. But Sarah Strong, man, she is a beast, bro. Joyce Edwards for South Carolina is a beast. 2 freshmen, 1 and 3 in respectively in the freshman draft class. So those 2 right there is why I think it's gonna be UConn and South Carolina in the national championship. And we're gonna have Gino and we're gonna have Dawn going at it again. That's what I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Mike, anything else before we move on to the NBA?
I got South Carolina winning, but I got them playing UCLA. It's my only difference. But I do got South Carolina winning, man. They just that much tougher. Their schedule is that much tougher. Their conference is that much tougher. And their battle
Betts is a beast. It Betts for UCLA, she's a beast, bro. Betts is a beast.
Yeah, she's tough.
Yeah.
I wanted to see USC in the final, but I just don't think they're gonna beat you.
I ain't got enough.
I just don't. Yeah, I don't see it happening. I love Juju. I love her game, but they just don't have enough.
Teams are just gonna see what UCLA didn't in the conference championship, bro. All they did was go boxing one on her and just doubled her in the first 2 games where USC beat UCLA. They was just letting Juju play 1-on-1. Juju's gonna beat 1-on-1. I'm double teaming Juju every time. I'm trapping her. Nobody else is beating me but her. Anybody else want to beat me? Cool. She's too special. She's too special. So yeah.
Please, others lead the way.
Yep, absolutely. But hey, I mean, you can't go wrong with UCLA neither, man. So it's just a case of opinion. But that's a good championship that you got there too, Mike. That'd be awesome too. Another rematch. That'd be another rematch.
Right.
So yeah.
So just to let everybody know that joined us or listening to us at the sound of my voice, we all have filled out brackets on the men's and the women's side, and after what'd you say?
I ain't do no women's.
Oh, you still got time.
You got time, man.
Bro. I told you what to do on the text, man. Just hit the auto thing, man.
I'm not gonna lie, I was fighting with that thing, man. I don't know what's up with the app. Like I did it once, and then you was like, and then you sent me another one. I'm like, what's going on? But yeah,
you probably have to save it. Maybe you have to save it.
Yeah, just hit the auto button, man. Just tickle our fancy, bro. Come on, man. What you say?
So if I'm gonna look bad, I'm gonna look bad. So you know.
I mean, you actually in first on the men's right now.
Oh, you know.
Yeah, I thought
everybody.
Everybody looks great now, Mike.
Right? Jeez. Nah, he's in first though. He got 7. I mean,
okay. Had he picked McNeese State like he said, he would have had 8.
Yeah, I knew.
You picked Creighton, right? You picked Creighton. I think.
Yeah, Creighton's a good school.
You picked Creighton? Nah, I knew Creighton was going to beat. He picked Creighton.
Yeah, I didn't. I picked Louisville.
You picked Louisville? I knew they was good. They another team that
just
there. Watered down conference. They got hot at the right time. And then Creighton been fighting because they like Marquette is good. St. John's
Their
good.
coach is good. That Creighton coach is good too, man.
Yeah,
he's really
that's
good.
His kingdom. He run the office.
Right.
He know what to do.
Yeah.
Shout out to all those in the comments. Thank you, Ms. Harden, for chiming in.
Yeah, Greg McDermott
can't be with us.
Greg.
Yes,
he's in the comments.
Dermot's dad. Yep.
Yeah. I guess D-Dubs had a message for Ryan. He says Knicks losing to Houston. Ryan, per our text conversation, he said Knicks are losing to Houston.
To the Hornets.
Hornets, yeah. What do you say?
They're down. It's 90-77.
Dude, it's over. And I got
games in Charlotte, right? Yeah.
I got nothing against Tibbs, but he's not a great coach. So I just got to keep it 100 with people. I watch, and every year they said he's a great defensive coach. They end up being 28th in defense. So if the thing that you don't do, then you don't do nothing. Well, yeah.
What I said about Tibbs. Let's check Twin Box. What did Mike Mills say about Tom Thibodeau when the Knicks hired him?
The whole NBA, man.
But this is around the time when people start wearing down. You can't play 80 minutes a game
the right way. And even if it is constructed the right way, he doesn't use it because you got players that have been on the bench. He ain't played all year. So when you got dudes that are on your starters saying, coach, you got to put that 7-foot kid in sometime, please.
Mikal Bridges, the Iron Man, the man who has not missed a game his whole career, said, "Yo, we got to play some of these other guys." Like,
all this
what's going on? This is a man who hasn't missed a game yet. The Iron Man.
I think Ryan actually talked about that last week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen, man, that's the sign of a bad leader is a leader that doesn't listen. So that's all. And like I said, I've seen him do it with he had Jimmy and this one and that one in Minnesota. Yo, I'll be the best defense. Not. Yeah, man, the team was not constructed the right way. And that's on him. That's on him. So, so
and play your guys. You went and got PJ Tucker in the buyout for what?
A lot. Like woefully, they just good teams always beat the Knicks, and you'll never win a championship if you can't beat good teams. So,
well, yeah, we had that. Look what happened to Golden State the other night. Let me just put this up there for Mike. Tickle his fancy. This is what Mike Mills said about Coach Thibodeau. About Coach Mike minutes management, particularly his tendency to overplay his starters. Mike highlighted that this approach can lead to fatigue, especially in close games, and may have contribute to the Knicks' struggles in the fourth quarter against OKC. He also pointed out that this is a recurring issue that Thibodeau citing similar problems during his tenure in Chicago, Mike emphasized the importance of finding a balance and an empowering the bench to prevent burnout later in the season.
It's crazy. Right. History repeats itself.
And not only that, and because now that Brunson is out, right? You rely on Brunson to do so much and play so much heavy minutes. Now, you have McBride, but McBride is not really a point guard. He's like he's a combo guard, right? So you have the other point guard there that you could have gave them more minutes, just like you said, just to empower them. So if somebody did go out, they can step right in and feel comfortable and feel like, hey, we can get this done. But I just feel like some fatigue might be setting in. Not having Brunson is huge.
Yep.
So Brunson's the key cog. At some point, you're gonna feel the loss of not having Brunson because he's that good.
Yeah,
he's that good. He control. Brunson touches the ball basically on every possession. He doesn't really play off the ball. So
yeah, that's also part of. Like I said, history repeats itself, man. It's the same thing with Derrick Rose. Mm-hmm. The other team, what the rest of them do? They're getting paid, right? These dudes are getting paid, right? Yeah, they're getting paid. Play them. All right, and if you don't, then you get to the playoffs against Cleveland, and then you got nothing left, right? And it's just happened so many times. Only time he won a championship was when he was an assistant to Doc Rivers,
right?
And he's supposed to be a defensive guy. And guess what? Where'd that go? So, they could have been a good defensive team. You just got to get the players that get on the court and give guys minutes, so forth and so on. But, it is what it is, man.
Yeah. Right. And like D-Dub just said in the comments, Kolek can't even touch the floor. You would think that Kolek would get some minutes with Brunson being out. I mean, 5 or 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like just so that way, you can still have Deuce playing his role as just coming in and just trying to score. Rather than trying to set people up. That's not his game.
But as long as the billionaires are still giving him big contracts to do it, he'll just keep, launch the whole thing up, man. So I'm good.
Well, we start off with the Knicks. Ryan, go ahead. What else you got for the NBA?
No, it's just everybody's just jockeying for position right now. You know what I'm saying? It's been a lot of injuries, a lot of people sitting out because they're getting to the schedule where, like I know we keep saying it, you have to try to find rest for your guys at this point. At the end of the season, especially when I mean the Knicks are damn near basically locked into the 3 seed. So they played last night. You know what I'm saying? And you're playing against a Charlotte team. Why not give Cat the night off?
Let him hang out in Uptown Charlotte.
You have to find spots within the season to get guys rest. Like I get it, man. Like you want to try to play every game and this and that, but the bottom line is winning the championship. That's the bottom line, and so I mean, it's the race for the 2 seed in the West is crazy. You have Houston, Lakers, Denver, and Memphis battling for the 2 seed, and everybody wants that 2 seed, right? The 2 or 3 seed, so you can avoid getting OKC in the second round. So if you have to play OKC, who seems like to be the class of the Western Conference, you will play them in the conference championship. So so there's and then you have the play-in. Like you still have Minnesota who had a horrible loss last night. Mm-hmm. You have Minnesota. Golden State is 6 right now. You got the Clippers. Sacramento. Yeah, Golden State is 6. So everybody's trying to. Those teams are trying to get to that 6th spot so you can avoid the play-in, because you don't want to go into that play-in, man, because you're a sprained ankle away for getting eliminated. So Yeah, and like I said, with the East is just super top heavy, right? You have your Cleveland, your Boston, who are basically locked in 1 and 2. Knicks are basically locked in 3. I think Milwaukee struggling. Milwaukee lost. They lost. Again, they had Doc Rivers.
Glenn.
There you go.
Glenn had a meeting. He had a meeting with Dame and Giannis today.
I know it wasn't about X's and O's.
I don't know, man. But yeah, man. It's just,
after the game, I like Krispy Kreme.
Yeah. That's it. That's the exact conversation.
And then,
especially when that little light on.
So question for the Knicks fans, right? Who would you? So you guys are locked into the 3 spot, right? You guys are basically locked into the 3 spot. Who would you guys rather see at the 6th seed? Pistons, Bucks, or Pacers? Because those three teams are fighting for the.
I don't want to see the Pistons.
I'd rather see the Pacers.
Really?
Yeah.
The who?
Yeah.
I don't want to see the Pistons. That I don't want to see.
I would take them.
If I'm a Knicks fan, I would rather play the Pistons than.
I'll take either the Pistons or the Pacers.
Who
you
have
can
no
beat the Pacers at full strength.
Because
the Bucks.
The Pacers are gonna run and just tire you out. You don't want to face a Giannis and Dame in the first round, even though they're not as good. I would want to face a team who has a less experience and who's super young. Even though the Pistons are gonna fight you to the last minute. I get it, but they're still super young, man. So I'd rather face the Pistons than.
I still think the NBA is a sport where young, it means a lot, right? You may not win the championship, but a young team that's too young to know that they're not supposed to win can win the first round because they just got more talent. Like they got nobody to guard Cade. They got nobody to guard.
Wait, they don't have more talent than the Knicks.
It doesn't matter each and every player. What I'm saying is they have a matchup that the Knicks have nothing for.
Who?
And that's the
I think Bridges could guard him.
I mean, but you guys have OG and
Mikal Bridges
and Mikal Bridges. Like OG
push come to shove, you put Josh Hart on them. You can put
OG is probably one of the best.
I don't know. I watched it a few times this year, and I'm really
Cade is nice. Game, I'm not saying Cade is not nice, but Cade can get shut down, man. Cade's not there yet. Where
he's boxing.
He's on the way though. He's walking down that street.
I'm more afraid of Franz Wagner than Cade right now. If we talking straight going against us scoring, on the low.
Well, Wagner, yes, that's another guy. That's all I'm saying. That's another guy. Listen, man, I wouldn't want to play them.
I see Ryan's point, but I also that's why I say what I said. They're young, and sometimes young teams either they don't know that they're young and they just they come out like gangbusters and like you said, you talked about Cade Cunningham and
the level of progression has been like really. It's come to right like every year they've gotten better. You know what I'm saying? So.
No, 1 year they've gotten better. It's just this year they've gotten better. They've been
1 year, because they was the laughing stock the last couple of years. Yes.
No, even then their records were better every year. They weren't sucking the same way every year.
They were horrible. They lost 28 straight games last year.
Yeah, they wasn't good.
That's what I'm saying. So
I'm not saying it. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I just think that the way they play, the way that the team
they play hard. They play hard.
They're tough. They're big. And they guard. So
they do.
And they got a few secret weapons that when I watch games, no one can handle these guys. Like, I watch them play against the Lakers, watch Cade give dudes money. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, yo, dog, this dude here is playing at a different level right now. Now, it's like a lot of players where you get to that level and you keep moving forward to being that superstar, or you can move up and then maybe, you come back a year. Like, what's my man, Bancaro? He didn't have a great year as he had last year. And he has to kind of reorient himself and get it back to where it needs to be. But I think, this kid's been coming on, and he's not a bad player. So
look, they did a great job bringing in some vets. The Beasleys,
Malik Beasley he's
balling for them.
He's earning his money, boy.
Yeah, Harris. Harris is playing well. No, Harris is playing good for them.
Same place he was at, 12, 13 points.
Yeah.
Get him
He's in the same spot he was at.
No,
you can get somebody to do more than that for less. Like,
but
not be a leader, but not be a locker room leader. So that's the other part of it, right? So he's that vet.
Right. Like, Harris is doing good. Tim Hardaway Jr. is doing good for them. So they brought in those 3 vets. That's doing really well. So
they got to help stabilize the young guys. That's all.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, it's a little bit of a loaded question, but it's a question. So we saw who won the MVP last year and who should have won the MVP last year. Who do you think is going to win the MVP this year, and who do you think should win the MVP this year?
I think SGA is going to win it, and I think SGA should win it. I wasn't mad because Joker won it last year because they both had the same record. One just had a better tiebreaker. So, but now SGA has the stats, and Joker has the stats too, but his team is 13 games. What is it? 13 games.
Number 1 in the West.
12 and a half games better than the whole conference. That says a lot. That's a lot. And the Western Conference is stacked. So so to have almost a 13 game lead in the conference, and you're the best player on that team, and you're leading the league in scoring, and your team is also the best defensive team in the league as far as all the metrics goes. So I have to give it to SGA.
I don't really have a problem with that at all. I think I just don't like the excuses, and I don't like the BS. Like, you got Joker fatigue. Like, man, F all that crap, man. Either he's the MVP or he's not the MVP, right? Now, I think SGA is doing his thing. He's playing offense, defense. He's getting his team involved, and they're winning, which is most. That's the most important part of it, right? So it's not like Denver has fallen off, but they're not where they've been the last few years. That's all. It's not like they're a bad team now. They're just not, you know what I mean? Like, they're not what they were, but they're still playing well. And I got to be honest, like, I don't watch Denver enough to know if maybe they might be losing. They maybe have some guys that aren't playing now, because I know Murray's not playing the way he used to be. Now, they say he's come on the last few weeks playing a lot better, but he's
a lot
not
of injuries.
Player.
He real streaky too, man. Like, he just
even Michael Porter Jr. is really streaky, right? And that's their two.
Yes, I was having a conversation about him the other day. Yeah,
that's their third option. Now, what people are going to say with Joker is he won the MVP 3 times, and his stats are way better than they were the last 2 times he won. Like, he's averaging a triple double, like insane. Like, I mean, the stats are there. Like, if Joker wins it, I'm not mad at that. He deserves it. You know what I'm saying? But there is such a thing as voter fatigue. We've seen it with Jordan. We've seen it with LeBron. We see it. We saw it.
Okay.
It all happened. I mean, Karl Malone won an MVP over Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like Steve Nash won 2 MVPs back to back over Shaq. Come on, like we see it. We see it all the time. It's a narrative driven award.
I hate that they made it not about winning anymore, because SGA should have got it last year. And then the way Joker's playing stat-wise this year, he should have got it this year, because that would have made more sense. But now Joker's having this crazy season that they can't give it to him for, because they owe SGA one.
But Mike, you said SGA should have won last year because they were winning. They had the same record.
Who was the 1 seed?
It was from a tiebreaker.
Who was the 1 seed?
Come on, man. We're not gonna do that, are we? What do you mean? They had a tiebreaker because of the conference. It was 3 teams that was tied. It was 3 teams that was tied. It was It was Denver, Minnesota, and OKC. This year, almost a 13-point lead. So I wasn't mad. I thought SGA, probably should have won it or could have won it, but I'm not mad that Joker won it. This year, I think you have a stronger case because he's 13 games better in the standings. That means a lot.
Oh, I got to go. But fellas, all I'm gonna say is this, and I think we argue about this in every ding-dang sport. Once we get a real rule or something written down as to what MVP means, does it mean you're the most valuable player on your team? Are you the best player in the team?
Now the best player is
in the league. Are you the MVP of the league? Right? Because there's only been a few real MVPs. You know, like when I say MVPs, like Michael Jordan brought people to the arena when he was playing away against other teams, right? So he's getting money for everybody back in the 90s, right? So that could be one way, right? Or you can say, you're the most. People buy the most stuff, or people tune in when you're there, right? Or are you the best? And that argument is always going to go back and forth, right? Because it's hard. Because I tell you, if that's the case, I think Joker probably could have, he was the most valuable player on his team. They don't win nothing without him. And what we used to do is say, well, if you take SGA off of Oklahoma City, what do you think their record would be? And I don't know. So
I mean, you take that's any team. You take unless you have just a incredible number 2 guy.
But I'm just saying, there has to be degrees of difficulty, right? So you can say, well, if this dude's not here, they only win 2 games, right? Or if this dude's here, they win this much. But until we find out a quantitative measure of standards for that award, it's always going to be subjective, which means it's always going to be wrong. Right. But fellas, I love y'all.
And that's why it's a narrative. It's a narrative-driven award. Now whoever wins it has to have the substance behind it. They have to have the stats. They have to have the winning. The only time where a guy who was number 6 in the conference won the MVP was Russ, because he was the first one to have a triple-double, and we never seen that. So that's why he won it.
Well, since Will, I don't know if people do that, man. I get really upset about that.
But that's
when I was coming up, I was always taught the most valuable player, right? So the most valuable player to me would be the most valuable person on the most valuable team, because how else can you quantitate the team's wins but the differences, right? So if my team won, but I'm just giving you an example. So blank example, my team won 25 games last year. They trade for me and it jumps to 55. I'm the major move, right? And we number 1. And I led the team. So that should make them MVP. Or if you the number 1, so Shay, you out west, right? You was number 1 last year. I feel like they robbed him. You was number 1 last year. You number 1 again. You're the best player on the best team. The team goes with you. So that's a clear-cut MVP. I mean, Joker numbers is better. See, they could have justified giving it to Joker, but then they messed up the winning portion of it. With the narrative portion.
But Mike, you keep saying that. They had the same record. It's the same record. They literally had the same record, so they went with the guy who had the better numbers.
Mike, you missed last week. We talked about this real quick.
Same record.
And Ryan brought up that point that they had the same record. And
same record. So you can't say it was because of winning. They had the same record, exact same record. It's only and actually, I think Denver had a winning record against OKC because it was a 3-way tie. Now you can't go head to head. Because it was OKC, Denver, and Minnesota had the same exact record, and it was because of the conference wins. So your point for this year, I'm right there with you. It should be SGA should win no matter what Joker's doing with his stats, because SGA has the stats and he's 13 games ahead of Denver. 13. I mean, they're 13 and a half games ahead of Denver, where they were tied, last season. So right now, it's SGA for me all the way. I'm not arguing with that.
Yeah, I'm with y'all guys. SGA, he's
SGA all the way for me.
He should absolutely win this award this year. Anything else, Ryan, before we get on out of here? DA had to step off.
Oh, no problem, man. No, man, that's it, man. Just enjoy the March Madness, man, and so I'm happy.
We rocked. We rocked on and talked basketball for almost 2 hours, man. This was really great and really good. I really enjoyed doing this. We had some other things to talk about, but we just made a game time decision. No pun intended. We'll just talk about basketball. All the other stuff we'll talk about on Monday, man. But this was really a great show. Like I said, the DA had to cut out, man. But hey, great show. Thank you for all those that was in the comments. I know we're getting a little bit more popular now because we got spammers in the YouTube comments now. So
spam all you want. That's a view, hater. That's a view. Keep spamming. That is a view. I will take the fake followers.
Shout out to the spammers.
We're not opening them DMs though, so you're not gonna get us. You're not gonna get us, but you can watch. Come on.
Yeah. Shout out to them. So shout out to all those in the comments. Like I said, to all those on social media, thank you so much for chiming in. Really good show tonight. Enjoyed myself. Talking basketball, you know, the MVP debate, as it is debate, man. It's like Ryan said, it's a narrative-driven thing, and SGA got it this year, I believe, and he should win it single-handedly, man. But hey, we're gonna part shots before we get out of here. Ryan, what you got for us tonight before we get out of here?
Oh man, good show, guys. Good show. Enjoy March Madness is here. The women start tomorrow. And man, for what? For 3 weeks, it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun.
Arkansas just beat Kansas 75-72 after Kansas was up for a little bit, and Arkansas came back. No, Arkansas was up by 3 with 12 seconds ago. Yeah. Mike Mills, what you got for us, sir?
Nothing major, man. Thank y'all for tapping in. Thank y'all for tuning in. Shout out to everybody that couldn't be here tonight. And I don't need everybody, man. If you home this weekend, please tap into some college hoops. Learn some of these guys, man. Learn some of these players. Watch some of these teams. Y'all said y'all tired of them shooting straight threes. We got some pick and roll. We seen McNeese State banging the paint all day today. Like, watch some good quality basketball. That's what I'm going to do as soon as we get off here. That's what I'm about to do. We got some late games, man. Tap in with the NCAA tournament, man. Please. And tap in with the women tomorrow because it's even going to be even better hoops. Some more picking and rolling and sliding. And they fight. They be bumping. And I love it.
They go, bro.
They go bumping. So that's all for me. It's March Madness. Tap in.
Gotcha. Listen, I gotta my part shot. I'm gonna just say thank you to Mike and Ryan. Because you guys, y'all put me on, watching the ladies, man. The ladies, even in the pros, they play a fundamental game. I know some people poo-poo on the ladies and all that stuff, man. Whatever, man. You want competition? Ladies, WNBA, you can see they be fighting and scratching and clawing. I was watching last night. Was it San Diego State? I think with the ladies. Yo, just scratching, just playing, like you said, Mike, playing fundamental basketball, man. Just doing all the right and small things of all those old heads, as we always say. You poo-poo and crying. I said, well, watch the ladies, man. And so, like I said, we filling out the ladies brackets, we filling out the guys brackets, and just enjoy basketball, like Mike Mills said. Just enjoy basketball, man, because for you, like you said, the next 3 weeks, it's gonna be on and popping, man.
DA, fill out your bracket. Fill out the women's bracket, DA.
Word. Tap in. Fill out your bracket. I did mine this morning.
Just fill it out, man. Just fill out your bracket. Hey, all those at home, fill out your bracket so you can see how you did against us, man, for the men and the ladies, man. But parting shots, I don't have nothing heavy, man. Thank you so much for chiming in and tapping in, as Mike Mills said, man. Make sure you enjoy this beautiful March Madness weekend. It's spring again. Spring has come back again. I know some places still got snow and stuff like that, but spring will come around. Sure enough, man. But shout out to all those that could not be with us tonight, for the crew, for Dan, for D-Dubs. They couldn't be with us tonight, and the angry one, man. But listen, we're going to get on out of here on behalf of myself and Kevin L. Warren, for the host and moderator, for Mike Mills, for Ryan, and the rest of the crew. Yo, this is the Sports Chasers podcast. Y'all be good. Y'all be great. And we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Sports Chasers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms, and connect with us on all social media channels for exclusive content and updates. We'd also love for you to join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of the Sports Chasers community. And remember to tune in next time for some more real sports talk. Until then, stay frosty.